Finance Minister Gordhan's application for a court order declaring that he cannot interfere with the decision of South Africa's 4 major banks not to do business with the Guptas and their companies will be heard before a full bench of the High Court today. Oak Bay Investments and Sahara have filed papers seeking the dismissal of the application and accusing the minister of being involved in a coordinated political campaign to clip the wings of the Gupta family. Accusing Gordhan of conspiracy, Oak Bay says it agreed with the minister that he had no power to intervene in private banking relationships between banks and their clients, but he nevertheless persisted with the application. The company says that Gordhan was abusing the court's jurisdiction in order to influence political outcomes and to prevent a proposed inquiry into South Africa's private banking sector. And for more on this, we are joined live by our ANN7 reporter, Gordhan Ongmo. Very good morning to you, Gordhan. The 72 suspicious entries picked up by the FIC and later Finance Minister Gordhan using it in his affidavit will be put to test, obviously, today. What is word on the ground? Any expectations of the outcome?
Definitely a big day for all the parties involved in this case, especially Oak Bay Company as well as Finance Minister Gordhan. Now remember, there are 21 respondents in this case, including the President of Republic of South Africa, President Jacob Zuma, as well as the 4 major banks that closed their accounts on Oak Bay. Obviously, it's a big day for all the parties involved. People on the streets, yes, obviously wants to know what's going to happen. Now remember, today is the first day of the court proceedings, which is likely to start around 9 a.m. today. And we also do know that this application has been brought forward by by Finance Minister Gordhan, I beg your pardon, to state a declaratory order that he cannot intervene in the bank and the client relationship. In his affidavit, what Finance Minister is stating is that Oak Bay is pressurizing him to intervene despite knowledge of his legal limitations. He has also stated in his affidavit saying that court should declare the intervention by executives as unlawful. And he also says that suspicious transactions reported in the FIC certificate is a serious state of affair. Now remember, Oak Bay has put a counter application in regard to Finance Minister Gordhan's application, where they state that Oak Bay and the other parties are in line and they are arm to arm as far as, Finance Minister's involvement in this is concerned, and they do know, according to the law, Finance Minister Gordhan cannot intervene on this matter. They've also stated that Finance Minister's applications is riddled with the factual and legal errors. Now, talking about the FIC certificate, where Oak Bay has always mentioned that the way Finance Minister secured this FIC certificates from the director of FIC is invalid and is unlawful. What Oak Bay is also stating is that the FIC director must make an affidavit stating out the details of the certificate and each transaction, and to allow Oak Bay to account for all those transactions mentioned. Remember, now they're talking about 72 illegal transactions, out of which Oak Bay has always stated in their statement that 2/3 of the transactions happened after the banks had closed their account. And going back to your question on what is the word on the ground, obviously people are excited. They say this is a battle that they have been hearing for a year long, and they will finally come to a closure on which party is to be blamed for. Right now, at this given point of time, too early to state whether or not court will rule in favor of either Oak Bay as well as the Finance Minister. But remember, yesterday on Monday, Sahara has laid down a new application stating or questioning Gordhan, stating that he should be present himself there in the court today and that his attorneys may not represent him, and also that he should pay the court amount from his own personal account. So we are waiting for the court proceedings to start at 9 a.m. and like stated, 21 respondents in this matter, a very big day for both Oak Bay as well as the Finance Minister Gordhan.
Now, Gordhan, the company has accused the FIC director of prejudice and has questioned if the certificate was released to tar the Gupta's reputation. What has the FIC reacted to these allegations and these comments made by Oak Bay?
From the very first time after this report of FIC issuing certificates to Finance Minister Gordhan has come out, FIC has always stated that they haven't done any unlawful things here, and they've just given out few certificates. It's not the report, but certificates to Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan. But remember, stating that 72 illegal transaction is already a big question on the public eye. When they say 72 illegal transaction, remember now, Gupta family has always been on the controversial side. So when FIC or Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan releases something that says, Gupta family or the Ogbe is linked to 72 illegal transaction, it raises a big question mark in front of the public. Ogbe's acting CEO Ronika Raghavan has stated in her application that this transaction is invalid and what they have done is unlawful, but providing these certificates to Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan. Now remember, Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan has been stating from the very first day that he cannot intervene on this matter between the bank and the client. But him going all the way to FIC to look for these 72 transaction is already a big question mark. Ogbe is also questioning the timing of it. They say when Pravin Gordhan, he got hold of the certificate, the parties took almost 2 months after they had already gotten the certificate to come and file their application in this court. So they've questioned the timing of this application and also stated to the court, the acting CEO of Ogbe, stating that all this, they are only bringing the court to play the political dirty fight between the Gupta family and President Jacob Zuma. So the Ogbe wants this finance minister's application to be struck off the roll, but we will be getting more details. We will be speaking to all the attorneys and the legal representatives that are going to come and represent their people today in this court starting 9 a.m.
Gordhan Nungamu, thank you so much for that update there live outside of the High Court. That is our ANN7 presenter, Gordhan, who will obviously be crossing live to as court proceedings are expected to commence at 9 a.m. this morning. That was our ANN7 reporter talking about the Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan's application for a court order declaring that he cannot interfere with the decision of South Africa's 4 major banks not to do business with the Guptas and their companies, which will be heard before a full bench of the High Court today. And now here's what Gordhan wants in the case, a declaratory order confirming that he cannot intervene in a dispute between the Gupta-owned Oak Bay Investments and 4 major banks. Gordhan goes on to say the application concerns where the power to intervene exists in law. Only court can decide if an executive can order a probe against banks. Application requires a legal determination by court, not a political judgment. FIC Act authorizes the use of certificate and provides for its evidential effect. There appears to be discrepancies and possible hidden motives behind what Gordhan states and what he really seeks, and finally what his moves imply. Gordhan in his affidavit says that Oak Bay is pressuring him to intervene despite knowledge of his legal limitations. What he really seeks is a court order to bar government intervention in a client bank matter, and what it implies is that the Minister of Finance is receiving pressure from Oak Bay to stop own cabinet colleagues from probing banks' conduct. Gordhan in his affidavit states that court should declare an intervention by an executive illegal in client bank matters. What he really seeks is a court order to cover up serious allegations of banks' collusion in a political conspiracy to shut down Oak Bay businesses. And what it implies is that the finance minister wants the court to believe the smokescreen of alleged Oak Bay pressure to intervene. And lastly, in his affidavit, Gordhan states that suspicious transactions reported to FIC reveal a serious state of affairs. What he seeks to do is to fuel the general perception that Oak Bay businesses are involved in corruption, and it appears that the finance minister is using suspicious transactions that can't be used as evidence to publicly damage Oak Bay.